Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce the Moose coming to you pre-recorded from San Francisco with a video update. Today, I attended the Owens v. Marraccini DVRO renewal hearing. Oh my gosh, guys, I got up early and took a lift to the courthouse. I got there so early, I went over and got a Pete's coffee and breakfast sandwich before heading over to the courthouse and standing in front of the wrong door. Luckily, a gentleman collecting recycling from the area who worked there instructed me that the public door was the next door over instead of the door I was standing in front of. I was later joined by Lauren Knighty, Court of Renewal Opinion, in line, and we waited with approximately a dozen other people who were there to attend the hearing. The doors opened at 8:15, and I wore a raincoat because it was raining a little bit, and luckily the raincoat has big zipped pockets, so I was able to put all my things, including my pen and paper notepad that I was going to use to take notes with, in my jacket and get it through the x-ray machine in quick time. Okay, so then we had to figure out where the hearing was going to take place. There was some confusion because we had assumed this was Department 405A, so we went to courtroom 405 on the 4th floor. There was a sign on the 1st floor that said the judge, Judge Gold, was actually on the 5th floor. I think it said 516 or something like this. So we were checking up there. We could not find the case listed anywhere except the 4th floor. So we stayed at the 4th floor until they posted a notice outside the door that the Owens v. Marraccini case would be on the 5th floor and another 514. Okay, so we go up to 514. And the amazing thing is this was a larger courtroom from when somebody saw inside. I think there were little windows. So it was a bigger courtroom than the courtroom that they had at the last hearing. So that was nice. But again, we had about a dozen people waiting for this particular case. So we waited in the hallway. There was a court reporter, court stenographer who was there, who was let in early to get set up. And then we waited. Mike and his lawyers arrived, Rachel Juarez and Omar Serrato, and they were there also waiting. And we just wanted to see what would happen. So 9 o'clock came and went. We were still waiting. And eventually, they did let us in. Around 9:15, 9:18, they let us in. And they didn't just let Mike and his lawyers in, they let everybody in. So I figured, oh gosh, here we go. This is going to happen. Something's going to happen here. So we come in and everybody, I made sure not to sit next to Lauren because I didn't want to like crack her up or have her crack me up or anything like that. We got to be on our best behavior, guys. So I sat on the other side of the courtroom. And the first thing I noticed when I got in and sat down and got ready to take notes was there was the monitor on the side for the Zoom teleconferencing. And I didn't see any faces on the Zoom. There were the split screen, and there were a few screens or some camera shots or some placeholder screens, but there were no people. There was no Laura Owens, no witnesses like Clayton Eckerd, no David Gingras on the Zoom screen. Okay, so the very first thing that happened was the judge was there already, and the judge said, okay, they confirmed with their clerk, there's no one on the remote, no one on Zoom screen, and there was no one there. So then the judge says, this one will be fast. Okay. And so she said, she called for case appearances. So of course, Omar says, Omar Serrato, for Mike Marraccini, we have Rachel Juarez. We're here. And then the judge says, okay, the petitioner is not here. There's no petitioner counsel. They're not in person. They're not on remote, the Zoom. Then the judge said, we're going to have the court reporter, because we have a court reporter, give credentials to the court for the record. So they went through that, and the court reporter went through their credentials for the record. At this point in time, it was 9:26. So the judge says, it's 9:26. Court was supposed to start at 9. There is no petitioner present. Court is dismissing this matter. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions. People have asked me, did they dismiss with or without prejudice? And there's no concept of that for this type of case. So it doesn't make sense for them to say dismissal with or without prejudice. They just dismiss the matter. Now, if a petitioner wants to file another restraining order in the future for other reasons, new evidence, they can always do that, but that'll be a separate task, maybe even a higher bar than a renewal. So that's where we are there. They dismissed the matter, and it has been dismissed. The judge asked if counsel wanted to had any other business for the court. Omar said he wanted to be able to file a motion for fees and costs. And this was allowed, and the court clerk asked Omar how long this might take. He said about 30 days. So they picked January 26th to come back and do I don't know if they need to have a Zoom call about that or a status conference about that, but he has until January 26th to file a motion for fees and costs. Then the judge said that the notice of that date, January 26th, would be in the court calendar for the petitioner, so that the petitioner could be aware of these details after today. And then court was dismissed. And there was a brief moment where, everybody stood up and there was a bit of applause in the courtroom. And luckily, the judge and the bailiff didn't say anything about that. But then as people started to talk to each other and discuss, the bailiff did say to people, if you can move it along out into the hallway so we can clear the courtroom, that would help. So we went out into the hallway where we discussed the results. And of course, then we went downstairs to leave the building, because obviously you can't take photographs or do videos inside the building. So once we got outside, I read through these notes with Megan Fox on her channel. I texted these results to Dave Neal. And these were my notes for the Rush Hour podcast, for the Fox Den live stream. And then I asked Omar if I could do a quick interview. And there was another person there that wanted to talk to him as well. I think there were a couple other people that wanted to talk to him. So a bunch of us had audio recorders or video recorders. I just had my cell phone with me. So I just started recording video of an interview with Omar. And, to sort of summarize, he was more satisfied with the results today compared to the last hearing. And it's a good step in these cases for Mike Marraccini. It gets this order off of his back. His life can be easier now in terms of travel, in terms of his reputation, in terms of all these things. So it's a great step in the right direction. They're going to move ahead with this motion for fees and costs in the future. Now, I don't know if the audio from that interview that I recorded is any good. I want to go back and, maybe crop the video, clean up the audio, all that tech jazz. But if it's okay and it sounds pretty good, I will put it on the channel here for you guys to check out the post-hearing comments from Mike's lawyer, Omar. And that's all I've got, guys. After that, Lauren and I went out to go get some food. I had a cheeseburger and a cocktail. And now it's a little bit of downtime. I just had some coffee. Maybe there'll be some more shenanigans here in the big city. Bright lights, big city. It's a little overcast. The rain kind of stopped, so maybe the weather's getting better. But I'm glad I brought my rain jacket. I'm glad I was able to be there, take some notes. And, to me, the transparency of the court system is an amazing thing we have here in America, where you can go and watch the justice system, the court system in action, the transparency, the accountability. The judge today was no nonsense. Let's go through the process correctly. Let's take care of business. And we've had a continuance, but we're here for the case. Dismiss the matter. And that's where we are, guys. Oh my gosh. So I'm glad I went. I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I got to see Lauren and see Omar in action, Rachel Juarez in action. They did a great job. Mike is a great guy. What else can I say? If you have questions, put them in the comments section, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. All right, guys. I am Bruce the Moose, on the loose, moose on the ground, reporting for you. I will catch y'all later. Bye.